What if I told you there's a $100 billion city in Malaysia, built for 700,000 people, and almost no one lives there? Yeah, you heard that right. A futuristic paradise, complete with smart homes, green energy, and luxury apartments, has turned into a massive ghost town. Even crazier, this massive ghost town sits on artificial islands that were created just for this project. So what went wrong? How did this billion-dollar dream become one of the biggest real estate flops of the decade? Stick around, because we're diving deep into the wild story of Forest City. Back in 2016, Chinese property giant Country Garden announced a bold plan, Forest City, a modern, eco-friendly city that would rise from the sea off the coast of Johor, Malaysia. But how does a city rise from the sea? Is that even possible? Malaysia's mainland didn't have enough space for such a massive project, so they planned to build 4 artificial islands from scratch. Engineers used land reclamation, a process where sand and sediment are taken from the seabed and packed together to form new land. This method had been used before in places like Dubai's Palm Jumeirah and Singapore's Marina Bay, but never on this scale in Malaysia. The total planned area of Forest City was 30 square kilometers, about 4 times the size of Central Park in New York. The vision for Forest City was huge. It was designed to house 700,000 people, with smart technology, AI-powered infrastructure, vertical gardens, and a transportation system with no personal cars. Instead, the city would rely on electric shuttles, ferries, and underground traffic systems. It was marketed as a futuristic paradise, a place where nature and modern living blended perfectly, with green rooftops, solar panels, and parks covering more than 50% of the urban space. Country Garden planned to invest a staggering $100 billion in this project, which is almost the same as the total GDP of Ecuador. This wasn't just a real estate project, it was part of a much bigger strategy. Country Garden, one of China's largest property developers, had already built major projects like Guangzhou's Phoenix City, Huanan Country Garden, and Sydney's Ride Garden. But now, it was looking beyond China. Southeast Asia had a fast-growing middle class, and Malaysia was in a key location for global trade, right between the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. At the same time, China was expanding its global influence through the Belt and Road Initiative, a plan to invest in major infrastructure projects worldwide. Forest City fit perfectly into this strategy, strengthening China's economic presence in Malaysia while creating a high-end destination for Chinese property investors. Malaysia welcomed the project with open arms. The country's economy was growing, but Johor, despite being right next to Singapore, wasn't attracting as many businesses or tourists as hoped. The government believed Forest City could change that. 220,000 jobs, more foreign investment, and a chance to turn Johor into a major financial and tech hub. In its early days, Forest City was seen as a groundbreaking and futuristic place, almost too good to be true. This eco-friendly, high-tech city was being built on the sea in Malaysia. It was designed with more than 400 vertical gardens, 1,000 smart homes, and energy systems that could power themselves, using solar panels and other green technologies. It was called the Green Smart City of the future, blending nature and technology together. The Malaysian government had big dreams for Forest City. They hoped it would help the country's economy by attracting foreign investments, creating 220,000 jobs, and boosting tourism. They even planned for it to host the ASEAN Tourism Forum in 2025. Forest City was pitched as a luxurious, high-tech place, especially for buyers from China, as revealed by a Reddit user. Many Chinese investors were drawn in because they were told that buying a property there would give them easy access to Singapore, and some even believed they could become Singaporean just by owning property. The project quickly gained attention worldwide. In 2022, it won the Global Model of Green and Intelligent Construction Award, which added to its image as a futuristic paradise. The idea of a sustainable city on artificial islands seemed like something out of a sci-fi movie, but as the city began to grow, serious problems started to emerge, ones that many hadn't expected. Another Reddit user commented, "I spent a night in one of the empty apartments in Malaysia's $100 billion ghost town, and I can see why very few people want to live there. Forest City, a luxury estate in Malaysia, has thousands of empty apartments." Despite all the initial excitement, reality began to hit hard. Forest City, which was originally meant to house 700,000 residents, faced several problems that kept it from reaching its goals. One major issue was that Forest City primarily targeted Chinese buyers. While this strategy initially seemed like a good idea, it quickly ran into trouble. Visa restrictions and high property prices made it hard for foreigners, especially Chinese nationals, to move to the city. This was worsened by the Chinese real estate crisis, which saw major companies like Evergrande collapse and left many investors unable to afford properties. In Forest City Country Garden, the developer was also struggling with nearly $200 billion in debt. In addition, the government's decision to limit visas for foreign buyers in 2018 made it even harder to attract investment. Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad wanted to ensure the city wasn't just for foreigners, but this also reduced the number of buyers, especially from China. By 2023, the city's occupancy rate was shockingly low, with only 1% of apartments filled. Just 9,000 out of 28,000 units. The promise of a bustling green paradise had yet to materialize. Environmental concerns also began to surface. The city was built on reclaimed land, which had destroyed local ecosystems like mangroves and seagrass beds. One of the city's golf courses was even built on a protected Ramsar reserve, raising alarms about long-term damage to the environment. Then came another blow. The only road connecting Forest City to the mainland collapsed in 2023, making the city even more isolated. The cost of living was high, and the city was far from other major areas in Malaysia, which made it difficult for residents to feel connected. The COVID-19 pandemic also played a major role in Forest City's downfall. Travel restrictions stopped many potential buyers from China from visiting or purchasing property, further hurting sales. The prices of properties dropped by up to 40%, leaving many buyers struggling with huge losses. Despite efforts by new leadership like Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim to offer tax cuts and incentives, the damage was done. Forest City was too far away, too expensive, and too isolated to live up to the grand vision. The dream of a self-sustaining green metropolis became a reality that few people wanted to be a part of. Investors who poured money into the project faced huge financial losses, and the dream of Forest City faded into an expensive, empty ghost town. As of 2023, Forest City in Malaysia is far from what it was meant to be. Only a small part of the city is finished, about 1% to 15%. And most of the streets, shopping malls, and apartment buildings are empty, making it feel like a ghost town. After 8 years of building, only 15% of the city is done, and it still looks nothing like the busy green city that was first imagined. In 2024, the Malaysian government tried to turn things around by making Forest City a special financial zone, SFC. This means that businesses and wealthy investors can get huge tax breaks. For example, family offices, groups that manage rich families' money, won't have to pay any taxes, and workers will only pay a 15% tax rate, which is much lower than usual in Malaysia. This is a big change from the original idea of creating a residential city, now focusing on making a place for business. The government is also planning to connect Forest City to the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, JSSEZ, making it easier for businesses and workers from Singapore to come to Forest City. But even with these changes, it's still tough for the city. The company behind the project, Country Garden, is in serious financial trouble. It owes $200 billion and lost $24.3 billion in 2023. This has made it hard to finish building the city and keep investors happy. Property prices have dropped, leaving many people who bought homes there with investments worth much less. The city is still filled with unfinished buildings, empty malls, and only part of one artificial island is built. These problems make it hard to attract people and businesses to move in. Another big issue is that Chinese investors who once made up a huge part of Forest City's funding are no longer as interested. China is now focusing more on technology and manufacturing, not real estate. This makes it even harder to get the money needed to finish the city. Despite all this, Forest City is trying to change. Its close location to Singapore, combined with the tax breaks, could give it an advantage. The government of Johor is also improving things like roads and buildings to make it easier for businesses to settle there. So far, 11 companies are interested in setting up in Forest City, which could help the local economy grow and make the city an important business hub. By 2025, the government also wants to bring in more family offices, which could bring a lot of money and help the economy. More details about how family offices can take advantage of the tax breaks will be shared in early 2025, which could help make the economy even stronger. Still, turning Forest City into a place for business instead of luxury homes isn't without problems. Even though the tax breaks and its location near Singapore give it some advantages, the city's unfinished state and financial struggles are big hurdles. If the right plans are made and supported, Forest City could still become a successful place for investment. Forest City's issues aren't unique. Another project, the Maderfontein New City in South Africa, also faced challenges. Originally, developers wanted to build a huge city with homes, offices, and shopping centers, but disagreements about including affordable housing led to delays. In the end, the project was scaled down to a smaller gated community. These examples show that even the most ambitious projects can have problems, but with the right changes, they can still succeed. So what's next for Forest City? Will it manage to turn things around, or is it too far gone? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more insights into the world's most intriguing projects.